Good afternoon, fellow YouTubers. You'll have to forgive me if I seem a little bit nervous. This is the first video I've ever done, and what I'm going to do a video on is sharpening chisels on the Tormek T4 whetstone sharpener. Now I will say this is not a paid video. I paid full retail price for this machine, so just to make that clear. So we'll get started. So these are a couple of cheap, nasty chisels I found in a bin in a tray that was getting thrown in a rubbish bin on a job site the other day. So I thought I'd just give them a sharpen up and see how we go with them. At best, they can just be a roughie for out in the shed. So I've lined the chisel up in the indexing points in this jig here to when you slide it onto the frame here, it'll ensure that your chisel is squared in sharpening stone. Now this sharpening stone, it's a whetstone, and you have a conditioning stone with a coarse side of 220 grit and a fine side at 1000 grit. So we'll condition the stone for the coarse side just to bring the chisel up to shape, and then we'll recondition it at 1000 grit for the final before we move it over to the strop wheel to finish off. So you only need to do 20 to 30 seconds on the wheel just to bring it up to where you need it. Now I did set the chisel up in the jig earlier on to save a bit of time on the video so I don't bore you guys with my first amateurist video. So this is a setting guide that they give you with the machine. So on this side you've got the guide for the different size wheels that you can get. So this is a 200mm wheel, we've got that set there, and we've got this guide set at 25 degrees for the blade. So just sit the guide on the wheel and on the chisel, and once you've got the chisel flat to this side of the guide at 25 degrees, we're good to go. So as we're sharpening it, we're noticing the water is now coming up over the blade of the chisel, more constant all the way across the chisel, which is a good thing. It means that you're getting the blade squarer to the sharpening stone. So we've just got a tiny little bit left on the edge of the blade there, which shouldn't take too much longer to clean that up. So now we've got that cleaned all the way across and it's uniform and nice and square. So what we'll do now is recondition the stone up to 1000 grit. And we use the same process as before. What we're doing now is taking a lot of the grind marks out of the back of the blade from where we were at 220 grit. Now we can feel a nice burr just on the edge of the blade there, which tells you that we're pretty much where we want to be in regards to the grinding of the blade, and it's nice and square, and we've got rid of a lot of the coarser lines in the back of the blade from the 220 grit. So now we'll move over to the strop wheel and finish it off. Now they give you a cutting compound, which is a 6,000 grit cutting compound, which will put some of that on the wheel. We'll start off on the flat side of the blade, just to knock the burr down and also polish the blade. Turn it over to the other side. I think we should be just about there. Just clean the polish compound off the blade. Now, that's looking pretty good there. We've got a slight concave in the back of the blade, which is obviously from the diameter of the wheel, but that is quite sharp. Right? You wouldn't have any hesitations in slicing a piece of paper with that. So I think that pretty much concludes our video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, whether it be negative or positive, please leave them and I'll get back to you and try and address them. But like I said before, this is my first video, so please be nice to me. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.